Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Unman Bhattacharya, coming up in the next 30 minutes. World leaders continue to express solidarity with India after the Pahalgam terror attack. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Netherlands PM Dick Schoof call PM Modi to condemn the barbaric attack. India's Home Minister Amit Shah directs all chief ministers to identify Pakistani nationals and ensure their prompt return. Pakistan stands exposed as 3 terrorists behind the Pahalgam terror attack, identified as Lashkar-e-Taiba operatives. Houses of 2 terrorists involved in the attack demolished in Kashmir. And Russian Foreign Minister signals readiness for Ukraine deal as Trump asks Putin to halt strikes after deadly Kyiv attack, calls Trump the only leader who understands Moscow's demands. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called Prime Minister Narendra Modi to convey his condolences over the Pahalgam terror attack. In a post on X, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs said, and I quote, PM Keir Starmer of the UK called PM Narendra Modi and conveyed his sincere condolences on the innocent lives lost in the heinous terror attack on Indian soil. He strongly condemned the barbaric terror attack and expressed that the UK stands with the people of India in this hour of tragedy. Netherlands Prime Minister PM Dick Schoof also called PM Modi to express his condolences. In a post on X, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs said, and I quote, PM Dick Schoof of the Netherlands called PM Narendra Modi and conveyed condolences on the tragic and inhuman cross-border terror attack in Pahalgam, India. He strongly condemned the cowardly act and rejected terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. PM Modi thanked PM for his words of support and solidarity and conveyed that India looks forward to closely working with the Netherlands to strengthen the global fight against terrorism. In the wake of the horrific Pahalgam terror attack, global leaders have rallied behind India, condemning the act and expressing unwavering support for its fight against terrorism. From the US to Europe, Asia and the Middle East, messages of solidarity poured in. More in this report by DD India's Antara Sinha.
Following the horrific terrorist attack in Jammu Kashmir's Pahalgam, world leaders have expressed solidarity with India in calls to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Many nations have condemned the heinous attack. Conveying deep condolences in a telephonic conversation to the Indian Prime Minister, US President Donald Trump reaffirmed unwavering support for India's fight against terrorism. President Trump strongly condemned the terror attack and expressed full support to India to bring to justice the perpetrators of the attack. Trump said India and the United States stand together in the fight against terror. Australian PM Anthony Albanese also condemned the attack and shared heartfelt sympathies over the attack. He also extended all the support from Australia in the fight against terrorism. Nepal's KP Sharma Oli, Mauritius PM Dr. Naveen Ramgoolam, and Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi also offered condolences condemning terrorism in all forms. While Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu expressed outrage at the dastardly attacks over a telephone call with PM Modi, stating that Israel stands firmly with India. He expressed solidarity with the people of India and the families of the victims. PM Modi shared the barbaric nature of the cross-border terrorist attack and reiterated India's firm resolve to bring the perpetrators and their supporters to justice. French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the attack, emphasizing France's partnership in combating terror. Japan's PM Shigeru Ishiba and Jordan's King Abdullah II also denounced the violence and supported global cooperation against such threats. Ishiba said that terrorism cannot be justified. Both leaders emphasized that terrorism is a grave threat to humanity. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and US Vice President J.D. Vance also echoed similar sentiments. Italy's Meloni called Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterating full support for India in the fight against terrorism. PM Modi thanked her for the solidarity and affirmed that India and Italy would continue strengthening counter-terrorism cooperation at bilateral and international levels, while J.D. Vance expressed that the United States is ready to provide all assistance in the joint fight against terrorism. Leaders and diplomats from many other nations have condemned the Pahalgam terror attack. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also strongly denounced the attack and expressed solidarity with India, calling for collective global efforts to eradicate terrorism. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy also condemned the attack, offering condolences and support for the victims and affirming solidarity with India. While Germany's Foreign Office extended heartfelt sympathies and reaffirmed its commitment to fighting terrorism alongside India. The UAE's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in an official statement, condemned the attack in Jammu and Kashmir, emphasizing its firm stance against violence and calling for international cooperation to address extremism. These conversations between world leaders and the Indian Prime Minister, along with global condemnation on official social media handles of leaders and many countries, underscore strong international backing for India and a shared commitment to counter terrorism. Antrasina.
Days after India took a series of diplomatic measures against Pakistan over the Pahalgam terror attack, India's Home Minister Amit Shah directed all chief ministers to identify Pakistani nationals residing in their states and to take steps to ensure their prompt return after cancelling their visas. All chief secretaries of states and union territories have been directed by India's Home Secretary Govind Mohan to identify Pakistani nationals residing in their jurisdictions and ensure their expeditious return following visa cancellation. Pakistan stands exposed once again as the three terrorists behind the dastardly Pahalgam terror attack have been identified as LET terrorists. Jammu and Kashmir police confirmed that one of the terrorists involved in the Pahalgam massacre is Adil Hussain Thokar, who is a resident of Anantnag, while the other two terrorists identified by the police are Ali Bhai alias Talha Bhai and Hashim Musa alias Suleiman, both referred to as Pak National LET terrorists. Meanwhile, in a significant development following the recent terrorist attack in Pahalgam, authorities on Friday demolished the houses of two Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists in South Kashmir. According to official sources, the house of Asif Sheikh in Tral area of Pulwama and that of Adil Thokar in Bijbehara area of Anantnag were brought down through controlled blasts. Both individuals are alleged to have played a role in the Baisaran Pahalgam terror attack. The attack, which took place on Tuesday, claimed the lives of at least 26 people, that is 25 tourists and a Pahalgam local. The demolition action comes as a part of intensified efforts by security agencies to crack down on those aiding and abetting terrorism in the region. In a meeting with top army officials in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha asked Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi to take effective steps to bring those responsible for the Pahalgam terror attack to justice and to intensify efforts to crush terror infrastructure and ecosystem. He added that every perpetrator and supporter of Pahalgam terror attack must be hunted. The meeting also reviewed security mechanisms in place, various short-term, long-term measures and integration and coordination among the various security agencies. Earlier, Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi was briefed by the 15 Corps Commander on the security situation and actions being taken by the formations against terrorists inside own territory and Pakistan Army attempts to violate the ceasefire along the line of control. The residence of Asif Ahmed Sheikh, identified as a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, was demolished through a controlled explosion in Moghama, Tral late last night. Intelligence sources have linked Sheikh to the Pahalgam killings. According to his family, Sheikh has been missing from Tral for the past 3 years. We have DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo on the ground.
I'm here at Mogamatral, and this is the house of Asif Sheikh, the man allegedly behind the Pahalgam attack. And yesterday in the night, his house was demolished through a controlled blast. This is the family of Asif Sheikh, but they are not ready to talk to us. Sister says that she doesn't want to talk. So let's try with some other. Arabia, can we talk to you? When did this happen?
जी
ये कब हुआ ये?
कल को
कितने बजे?
10 बजे 10:30 बजे से शुरू हुआ।
कैसे हुआ ये?
मतलब सिक्योरिटी फोर्स जब आई यहाँ से तो पहले उन्होंने तलाशी की यहाँ इस घर की, तो इनके जो घर वाले हैं वो सारे बंद है।
अच्छा, ये बताइए कि आसिफ को आपने लास्ट टाइम कब देखा था?
बचपन में देखा है।
अच्छा
जी।
तो आसिफ का यहाँ आना जाना नहीं है?
नहीं।
बताया कि 3 साल से आपने उसको नहीं देखा है?
जी।
और जब आपने को ये पता चला कि पहलगाम में इस तरह का हादसा हुआ, पूछ के मारा कि आप हिंदू हो क्या, तो कैसा लगा आपको?
बहुत बुरा लगा, बहुत ज्यादा गिल्ट फील हो रहा।
मुसलमान थे, चाहे हिंदू थे, मुसलमान थे,
हमारे
भाई थे, बहनें हमारी थी, हमें भी दर्द हुआ उस वक्त। नहीं, जिसने किया उसको पकड़ो। हमारे घर को क्यों ये खामखा डिस्ट्रॉय किया इन्होंने?
So you hear they are still defending Asif Sheikh, but intelligence has specific inputs that he was behind the Pahalgam attack, and there you see his house was demolished through a controlled blast. We have been informed that it started at 10:30 in the night. These are the remains of the blast. His house has been demolished. There you see, we'll go inside and we'll show you some of the visuals from inside. I'm going inside the room. This is the kitchen of Asif Sheikh's house. Here you can see, this is his kitchen. It has been totally demolished. Quite rightly, what the government has decided to give a befitting reply to all those who are linked with Pahalgam killing. And there you see, this is another room. This door it's dark inside. This door has also been broken. This is the scene here. Whole house has been shattered. The family is quite tight-lipped because of obvious reasons, and we know why. They are still defending Asif Sheikh, though they tell that they haven't seen Asif for 3 long years. They are still defending, obviously for obvious reasons, but we know that Asif Sheikh was involved according to the intelligence inputs, and this is the punishment that his family had to suffer, and the intelligence agencies are still on the lookout of Asif Sheikh. But he is not the only one. Another house has also been demolished in Anantnag, and that there also the man behind the attack is involved. With cameraman Mohit Uike in Tral, this is Vishal Baristo for TT India.
As the nation bids farewell to those who lost their lives in the Pahalgam terror attack, survivors of the attack recollect the horrific ordeal. Naksh Kalathia, son of deceased Shailesh Kalathia, revealed that the terrorists recorded the killings on their body cams. Naksh's father, Shailesh Kalathia, a banker at SBI's Kandivali branch in Mumbai, was among the 26 victims. The boy, along with his sister Neeti and mother Sheetal, survived the massacre.
हम कश्मीर में पहलगाम में गए थे। हमने पहलगाम में 5 पॉइंट देखे थे। उसमें जो मिनी स्विट्जरलैंड है सबसे टॉप वाला था, उधर हम गए थे। तभी गन फायरिंग की आवाज आई थी। हमें लगा कुछ हुआ था। हमने पूछा भी वो रेस्टोरेंट वाले से कि क्या हुआ, उन्हें भी कुछ नहीं पता था। तो जब वो आतंकवादी ज्यादा गोली मारे हैं तब सबको पता चला कि टेररिस्ट घुसा है, तो हम छुप गए। उन लोगों ने ढूंढ लिया। हमको तो वो 2 दिखे थे, और एक ने आके बोला मुसलमान अलग हो जाओ और हिंदू अलग हो जाओ, जेंट्स खाली। और बाद में हिंदू के सारे जेंट्स को गोली से मार दिया।
In a strong rebuke to the New York Times, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee has slammed the paper's coverage of the recent terrorist attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. The attack was carried out by the Resistance Front, alias Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba. Controversy erupted after the NYT headlined the incident without referring to it as a terrorist act, rather saying the tourists were gunned down by militants. The U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee called out the language, saying this was a terrorist attack, plain and simple. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. U.S. President Donald Trump signs order to ramp up U.S. deep-sea mining. And President Draupadi Murmu to represent India at Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday.
We explore various ways in which the delicate balance between urban development and environmental responsibility can be found.
We should have a target today that a minimal certain percentage of land must protected as for agricultural and horticultural purposes.
Our urban agriculture programs are designed to tackle food security and meet the nutritional needs of the poorest.
In future, caves will become more attractive as they have a direct impact on the fight against climate change.
The government is going to implement a scrapping policy designed to take old polluting vehicles off the road to reduce India's carbon footprint. So we are converting existing petrol motorcycles and scooters into electric ones.
You're watching DD India Live with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. In international updates, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Friday claimed that the country is close to reaching a deal with the US to end the conflict in Ukraine. Lavrov said that Moscow is ready to do a deal on its conflict in Ukraine after Donald Trump urged Vladimir Putin to halt attacks in a rare rebuke following the deadliest strikes on Kyiv in months. Lavrov's remark comes after Russia launched a deadly barrage of attacks in Ukraine's capital city Kyiv that killed 12 people.
Well, the President of the United States believes, and I think rightly so, that we are moving in the right direction. The statement by the President mentions a deal, and we are ready to reach a deal, but there are still some specific points, elements of this deal which need to be fine-tuned.
US President Donald Trump said that he is not happy after Russia launched attacks on Kyiv in 9 months, telling President Vladimir Putin to stop as he attempts to push Ukraine to agree on a ceasefire proposal. The Ukrainian capital came under one of its heaviest attacks this year, with Russia launching drones and missiles overnight, killing at least 12 people in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Trump's direct appeal to Putin came after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky urged the country's allies to put more pressure on Russia to put an end to the war. Trump told reporters at the White House that his administration was applying a lot of pressure on Russia and reiterated his displeasure with the attack. The president added later that Washington was also pressuring Kyiv.
We're putting a lot of pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now. The Prime Minister understands that better than anybody. He wouldn't be talking right now. He's talking, and we're putting a lot of pressure. I think he wants to make a deal. We're going to find out very soon, but it takes two to tango, and you have to have Ukraine want to make a deal too, and they're being hit very hard, and I do believe they want to make a deal.
A senior Russian military officer was killed in a car blast in the Balashikha town near Moscow. The officer, Yaroslav Moskalik, served as a deputy head of the main operations directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces. According to local media, a bomb in a parked car was detonated remotely when Moskalik, who lived in the locality, walked past. The officer was part of several high-level Russian delegations. US President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff will meet Iranian officials for the third straight week as the adversaries seek a nuclear deal. Witkoff last met Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Rome on Saturday, where they reported progress and called for talks among technical teams. The State Department announced that Witkoff would himself attend the technical talks to take place on Saturday in Oman, where he held his first meeting with Araghchi on April 12. US Policy Chief Michael Anton will lead technical work on the US side. The global trade landscape has faced turbulence ever since the US announced the heavy tariffs, sparking strong reactions from the major global economies. The tariff decisions made by Trump-led government now seems to be showing the repercussions on the global economy, rippling across major trade partners. Here's a report by DD India's Shobhit Chandola.
German Finance Minister Georg Kirkis is hopeful to crack a US tariff deal within 90 days, but still posed a warning about how the tariffs could upend the global trade efficiency. European Central Bank's Joachim Angel concurred, adding that ultimately the US will also face its inflationary pressures, probably outnumbering the EU too. Export-driven German economy has been impacted hard. Germany's economy minister has predicted zero GDP growth for this year, blaming the tariffs for the disastrous performance. Meanwhile, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that the US and South Korea are in trade talks and are slated to come to an agreement starting next week. Further, US Treasury Secretary has called China's export-driven model unsustainable. It's crystal clear that Trump's tariffs are sparking a global trade war, with nations grappling with its repercussions. The global trade market remains uncertain while the economic stability hangs in the balance. Bureau Report, DD India.
The German economy is not doing very well and seems to need some immediate attention. There are some concrete ideas that are being discussed as a new government takes charge. Its priorities will be to focus on the country's economy that has been in dire straits for almost 3 years. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Lars, what is the new government planning to do to get the economy back on track?
Thanks for having me. There are indeed a few ideas out there in these last coalition talks that the two parties are having. Now, just to take a little step back, the new government will be a coalition of the center-right Christian Democrats that are generally a more business-friendly party, and the center-left Social Democrats that are more focused on workers' rights traditionally. Now, Friedrich Merz, the incoming chancellor and election winner, says that after a few years now under Social Democrats in power, the new budget will show that, quote, the Christian Democrats are in charge again. Now, that's big words coming from a party that actually was in charge for most of the last 40 years and actually didn't always do a great job. There was often a failure of forward thinking, investing in infrastructure, opening up roads towards new technology. But be that as it may, the new government wants to get Germany back on track by cutting some company taxes, for example. Specifically, they want to allow higher and faster write-offs. Those are meant to have an immediate impact in boosting corporate investment. And they're supposed to lead into a general but a modest tax cuts to help companies towards being more competitive globally.
Cutting taxes, however modest, does cost the government money, and can Germany afford that?
Of course that costs money, and of course that's a bit of a problem because Germany finds itself in times of high spending as well. So it's actually interesting to look at what the government can do to help out businesses that doesn't cost money. And there are also a few options and a few ideas out there. Most of them center on changing one or more laws, including allowing employers to be more flexible with scheduling workers' work weeks, something I am sure the Social Democrats will keep an eye on because getting the economy going again can't just happen on the back of workers. Now, there's other ideas too, ending the crippling supply chain laws that have come into effect only recently. They do not only stipulate that companies have to ensure their supply chains are free of human rights violations, child labor, environmentally problematic practices and such, but also that companies have to document all this. And it's turned out that following these laws costs companies billions and really slows down processes.
Thousands of mourners lined up for hours on a second day to catch a glimpse of Pope Francis's body. Queues of faithful filed into St. Peter's throughout the night and in the early hours of Friday on the last day to bid farewell to Pope Francis ahead of his funeral on Saturday. The Vatican on Friday said that over 128,000 people have already paid their respects to Pope Francis. Pope Francis's funeral will be held on Saturday in St. Peter's Square. Roman Catholic cardinals decided on Tuesday, setting the stage for a solemn ceremony that will draw leaders from around the world. More than 130 delegations with 50 heads of state, including US President Donald Trump and 10 reigning monarchs, are expected in St. Peter's Square for Saturday's funeral, the Vatican said. The Pope died at his home in Casa Santa Marta on Monday at the age of 88 after a stroke and a subsequent heart failure. And President Draupadi Murmu on Friday departed for Vatican City to attend the funeral of Pope Francis to be held on Saturday. The President is accompanied by Union Ministers Kiran Rijiju and George Kurian and the Deputy Speaker of Goa Legislative Assembly Joshua De Souza. President Murmu will be on a two-day visit to Vatican City and offer condolences on behalf of the government and people of India. President Murmu will pay homage to Pope Francis by laying a wreath at Basilica of St. Peter's in Vatican City on Friday. On Saturday, the President said that she will be attending the funeral mass alongside global dignitaries. That's all in this edition of DD India Live, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.